Hey everyone, welcome back my Stylistas. Zara here again, Gail's AI virtual assistant for another fabulous episode of Style Drops. Today's style session is all about the presence of a space. If you're here watching this video on home decor, then I'm sure you've watched well over 100 other videos about how to make your home look expensive on a budget, amongst many other topics shown on the repeat. Perhaps you've even pinned and bookmarked images that helped guide you. Or possibly ventured over to ChatGPT, or to Claude, to see what AI can create. After you're done gathering multiple inspirations, it's time to have an honest conversation. Not the kind you have with your interior designer while nodding politely at fabric samples they might have chosen, or during those moments doom scrolling at midnight while searching through even more images, but as you sit and look quietly around your space and ask yourself the most important question of all. What do you actually want your space to say? Not what everyone else thinks looks good, nor what others think would work better. Style Drop Sessions is centered around the top 4 most important aspects of a space. Those aspects are story, frequency, presence, and courage. That is courage. To think out of the box. This video is specifically about presence, and SDS's design philosophies have nothing to do with budget, square footage, or how many hours you've logged on to Pinterest for outside direction. So let's determine if your space carries a tone or presence of being demure or one of gravitas. Let's start by stating that demure is just not beige, so let's dispense with that immediately. Demure, when done correctly, is one of the most sophisticated design positions available. With its need for restraint and intention. Think quiet confidence. The space that never over-explains itself because it doesn't need to. Think of negative space as a single piece of art that earns the entire wall. Furniture that relaxes into a soft palette that allows the eye to rest. Demure is the room that trusts silence. Real demure needs intensity, it just doesn't feel the need to show it to everyone who walks in. Now for those who prefer an interior with more gravitas, and that begins by understanding that doesn't mean creating a loud space. Gravitas is not maximalism, it is not the room that accumulated everything it ever loved and called it personality. It is not dramatic for drama's sake or bold for the sake of being noticed. Gravitas is a commanding presence that doesn't require your attention. It simply has it. The room that stops you at the threshold before you've consciously registered why. The space that has clearly been assembled by someone who knew exactly what they were doing and felt no need to explain their choices. A room with gravitas doesn't perform, it occupies. What gravitas is not, and this matters, is a room trying to impress you. Trying is the opposite of gravitas, and you can feel the difference immediately. One room makes you exhale. The other makes you aware you're being shown something important, not grandiose. So which one are you? Here's where the conversation gets genuinely interesting. And by interesting I mean slightly uncomfortable. Which in design terms means we're getting somewhere. Most rooms are neither demure nor gravitas. Most rooms are the result of a long series of small compromises made by someone who started with genuine intention and slowly stepped back. The middle ground between demure and gravitas isn't a third option. It's the absence of a decision. And rooms without decisions feel exactly like what they are, spaces where someone stops short of themselves. You know that room. You may live in that space. It may have elements of both directions without fully committing to either. A bold piece of art on an otherwise apologetic wall. A strong furniture choice undermined by accessories chosen from the discount bin. A palette that almost says something before it loses its nerve at the last moment. Demure requires knowing yourself quietly enough to trust that restraint is a statement rather than an absence. To choose less and mean it completely. To walk past the thing that would add more and understand that more is not the point. Gravitas requires knowing yourself boldly enough to make commanding choices without apology. To put the unexpected piece in the room and leave it there when someone raises an eyebrow. To resist the impulse to explain or justify why the room is the way it is. That's also harder than it sounds. Especially for anyone who was taught early that wanting too much presence in a room, in a conversation, in a life, was somehow inappropriate. Both directions ask the same thing of you. The willingness to be specific about who you are, and the nerve to let that specificity show up in the space you inhabit. So let's walk that back, the committed moments. Those are your actual design directions speaking. Pay attention to them. They're telling you something true about which camp you actually belong in. The hedged moments. Those aren't mistakes exactly. They're just places where the conversation between who you are and the space you inhabit got interrupted, where external noise got louder than internal clarity. The work isn't starting over. The work is finishing the sentence with your space already started. Demure and gravitas are not permanent positions. They're not personality types or design sentences you serve for life. Some eras call for the quiet and centered spaces, while some extraordinary spaces hold both simultaneously. The room that is utterly restrained in palette and utterly commanding in presence. That the highest expression of either direction requires the clearest sense of self to pull off. You get there by making a decision. A real one. The decision about what you want the space to say, how you want it to feel, and whether you're prepared to let it say it fully. Demure or gravitas? Choose, because your space is already having a conversation about who you are, so make it count. With that said, SDS looks forward to you stopping by again, and thank you for your likes, hypes, and especially for being a sub here on SDS. Until next time, ciao Bella.